So it's next morning. I feel so good from having gone and done the training last night. Particularly because it's a Wednesday, you know, it's sort of, I could do this every day. I could do it every night. Savouring this piece of breakfast. As this little frazzle sweetheart, my baby, is pregnant. She's going to have pups any moment. She's eyeing this off because it's got the yolk. But no boxer. But I got some of the finest quality halal lamb over there cooking for her because she's become particularly fussy. So communication with other people. I had this thing I did mention about with my dear friend and lover, but we seemed to be able to communicate something last night where even just the what becomes apparent is that neither of us feel safe to communicate with the other person, because I don't know what her experience of me. I was really trying to hear it, but for me it's like well, it's not like it's being authentic means that someone's going to get upset. Or being totally honest means that someone's going to get upset with something that you're never able to be anyway. Well, this is some kind of artifice thing, and it's like, it's delusion. It's the world of delusion, and it's artifice, as in not real. So I've been through a particular process, and I feel like I'm in a good place with that, and with her before going to sleep last night. So I wake up this morning and that's clear of my mind. So I find a particular agitation just from the humidity. 6 dogs on the bed, the body heat upstairs in a double-decker bus without any aircon or anything. The sky was clear, absolutely clear, not a cloud in the sky, and then now it's covered in clouds. The humidity's a bit much, but noticing the agitation is only a certain type of agitation, a certain level of agitation. Beyond that, there was this pressure that might just blow the valve off, you know what I mean? And that wasn't there. It's not there now. Now, I think that's vitally important. And it's very clear, it's absolutely ultra clear that that pressure that's pushing down the captain's blood to blow off is not there because of the training last night. Because of this experiential, expansive thing that we've got to go out there and consider this stuff, because John said enough words just while we were cleaning up the space and then setting the space up. Like, John will say something and I'll be carrying a piece of stage with somebody else, and I'll yell out over my back, "What does that word mean?" And then he will talk for 5 minutes about what that word means, truncated. Because he'll use these words in this context. So I'll say, well, what does that word mean then? Because that's not the context that I know that word to be. And the English language is full of words like this that we actually don't know what the words that we use mean. And I've written a course about power of words, and presented it a few different scenarios, and it's just so apparent. Like, we do not know the meaning of most of the words that we use in our everyday vocabulary. So that in itself is something quite profound. And then John left the training. He went and did something else. Cameraman was there, so they were doing something else. And that guy, he's a really interesting guy too, Jake. I mean, like, all these people have got this. Like, I think every person is a genius, and every person's got a story that's worth hearing, and every person's a very valid expression of God. However, I find the people that sort of come with John and Jackie, that you meet because of them, actually really cool people. Very introspective. They're very thinking. Like, they're thinking with their mind, but they're thinking with their heart, and they're thinking with their spirit, and they're thinking with the soles of their feet, and they're thinking with their body, and they're thinking with their center. And they're the real deal, whatever they do. And they're clear about what they're doing. So this guy, he was clear, he's not doing the training, and he's clear about what he gets from watching the training, experiencing and knowing the people and all of that. And he's done it a bit. And so he's got his thing going on, and it's just so beautiful to see the congruence, the way things can just meld together and magic happens. So anyway, Jackie was very strict. She's just so precise. I love it so much. It's incredibly valuable. It's actually priceless. To have somebody of that age, of that experience, with that mindset, that demeanor, that attitude, that eye for detail, that eye for style and flair and art and creativity, and for dance. I mean, she's just such a fantastic teacher or trainer. They both are, and they both bring such different things to the training. But I tell you what, I really loved just training with Jaden and Jackie, because Jaden is a fantastic dancer. Jackie is a fantastic dancer and fantastic curator, and she's a fantastic teacher. It's like I could just do this 4 hours every single day until they're not around anymore, or I'm not around anymore to be able to do this. The point of doing this the next morning is to show that I feel good. I asked John, what's depression, last night? And he gave a pretty interesting answer. And then he said that he suffers from anxiety, but he doesn't let that anxiety stop him from doing something. And I said that I didn't know what anxiety was until just a few years ago, when I made myself sick for 3 days with anxiety at the idea of seeing this woman that I was totally in love with, but shit scared of actually developing something with her, because she was such a dear friend to me, and I just didn't want to risk losing a friend, I suppose. So we're still good friends, because never went there. And she knows I love her, and I'll always love her, and we have this great friendship, So that was anxiety, I understood that. But then asking John about depression, he said some interesting stuff, which I'm not going to bother going into now, because I'm still stewing on it, and I don't know if I can be so clear with all of that. But I heard it, and it's in here. I'm thinking about it, because depression is something that has been a big thing in my life, and I've spent much of my life treating depression in other people. And then I found that I was supporting 17 families, and then suddenly, through a fire and a few other things that all happened, because when it all happens at once, suddenly I couldn't even support myself. And I found from that this depression, and then lied to, and found myself in exploited situations. I'm the one that's been exploited, and I'm now seriously up that proverbial creek in that proverbial canoe with that proverbial paddle, and a long way past that proverbial point. Depression does not help you dig yourself out of the hole. And I acknowledge I still depression in Chinese medicine is liver qi stagnation. And I suppose I will say one thing that John said, this contrast thing about how depression is like a disharmony or incongruence between one's perception of self and the cosmos perception, or what one perceives the cosmos expects from one compared to what they're doing and being. And that's all completely arbitrary and random and within one's own mind. So it's difficult for another to even get their mind around that. And I know this because I treat it a lot, like I'm a counsellor for it, and I treat it a lot. But in Chinese medicine, you can just fix it just like that with a couple of acupuncture needles, because it's liver qi stagnation. That's what it is. And it's often tied in with a blood deficiency, you see. So blood is a physical manifestation of yin. All of this stuff, it can be transformed with the spirit, because the emotion is the most damaging thing to qi, and what causes it to be stagnant, you see. So there's a real process that I've been through, and I notice, I acknowledge with recent events, like finding out that you give everything to somebody of your entire being, your entire soul, your whole spirit, and then it's not well received because they're too preoccupied with something else, and then turns out that actually their experience of you is this stressful, traumatic kind of experience, and it hits hard, it hits really hard. And that causes depression. And it's a kind of depression that, without having this praxis and John and Jackie to train me, then I actually really wouldn't have much of a reference point to recoil myself back to in a healthy way. I know that. I know it because of the snag that I am, the oversensitive new age guy that I am. I know that some things, they hit me hard. And hit me hard yesterday. But not as hard as it hit the day before, because I had this integration. But because I did the training last night, well, the power today to make it new, make the world new, make myself new, make everything new, and to turn everything around, whatever it is, alchemy, transform it all into love and transform it into something that is wondrous. So that's what we're doing. Here we go. All right, Uru.